Citizens of Gotham, we will not, we cannot let these killers and these robbers and these rapists and these thugs win. Not on my watch.
There is a war coming. A terrible war. There will be chaos. Rivers of blood in the streets, I know it.
It's my new partner, Jim Gordon.
You have a little danger in your eye. I wonder what you plan to do with that.
You killed people before? That was war.
This is war. We're at war.
What's your name?
My name's Bruce Wayne.
I promise you, I will find the man who did this.
This is not a city for nice guys.
Stop or I'll shoot!
However dark and scary the world might be right now, there will be light. There will be light. Bruce.
Hey guys, welcome to What the Flick. We are discussing Gotham, Episode 1, the series pilot, the premiere. I think those are the two names for it.
The debut.
Right, and it's Francis Maxwell, William Bibbiani, Alonso Duralde, Ben Mankiewicz. So I'm going to guess that all three of you guys have read many Batman comics.
Plenty of Batman.
My share.
Yeah. I haven't read a comic book ever. I mean, I've seen them. I've seen them.
No panels whatsoever?
I've read panels, but I've not read a comic book start to finish and paid attention through every panel. That's never happened.
Not even Richie Rich?
Why are
Nothing.
you here?
But I saw every episode of Batman. So
Okay.
What was
the original Adam West series, I imagine.
Yeah, the good one.
No, the good one is the Batman the Animated Series. Am I right?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, that was the good one.
There's a place for all of them.
But what's interesting, so there's all these sort of. This is set in some time, although it seems to be set in current day.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It's a sort of nebulous.
It has an Archer quality to the time where we don't really.
Well, or the Tim Burton Batman as well,
Right.
which was
The TV screens are still the big block ones.
Right, but they have cell phones, and the apartments are super modern.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so whatever. But it doesn't matter. But it's still this sort of Batman backstory. And even though I haven't read all these comics, there were still. Like I'm still telling my wife, like, oh, that's there's still plenty of that. That's the Riddler. That's Poison Ivy, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So
Gotham seems to be designed a lot for casual enthusiasts. But that's true that's true for almost every interpretation. Every time someone redoes Batman, retells the origin, you make it your own. You switch the characters around, you introduce them in a different way, and everyone at first it's just like a hidden picture game. It was like, oh, where's the Joker? Is that the Joker? Is that going to be the Joker? I don't know. Yeah. So that's half the fun of it for now.
I have to say that on principle, I'm not the biggest fan of these sort of Jim Henson's Muppet Babies, retro fitting of let's go back 20 years and find that the same 8 characters all knew each other then too.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I'm reasonably compelled by this pilot to keep watching to see where it's going. I mean, there were a couple things that I was a little like. Do we really think Jim Gordon is going to let his career rest on the say-so of a 12-year-old boy? I mean,
I don't know.
But that aside,
the richest 12-year-old boy in
that's
town.
true, yeah. But
John F. Kennedy Jr. was basically saying, like, I need you to inspire me. And he's like, well, in that case, I suppose.
But there's a lot going on here, and they do what a good pilot should do, I think, which is to sort of establish the world, establish the characters, and float enough little unsolved mysteries to keep us coming back to find out what's going on.
I thought it was interesting to have the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents be the unsolved mystery. Usually in the comics or in the movies or whatever, that either goes unsolved forever or he's captured very quickly and you realize that it was just Joe Chill, it was nobody. And that's so dissatisfying to Bruce Wayne that it inspires it. Yeah, exactly. Well, the Amazing Spider-Man approach. But here it's an inciting incident, and I like how they explore the idea that killing off citizens this prominent sends the entire city into a tailspin. The cops are scrambling, and even the criminals are scrambling because this is going to screw them over with all the scrutiny.
I thought it was a very compelling scene to start off with. I know they started with the Catwoman going in, but I thought that the actual murder sequence was one of the best renditions of it I've seen. To be honest, I thought it was very good. The young actor was great at doing that, very compelling to watch. But in terms of the show as a whole, I thought the thing that drew me in was the setting. When I used to, growing up watching Batman from Tim Burton's first 2 movies, kind of thrown off by the Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney fiasco that ruined my childhood, to be honest. But then going into Christopher Nolan's somewhat realistic scene, I thought the scene as a whole was fantastic. They encaptured Gotham very well, I think. Like from that carnival style that Tim Burton had to the very realistic style that Christopher Nolan did. It's a very good balance in between.
And even a little bit of the Joel Schumacher stuff. I've always had a theory that the explanation for how Gotham changed between Batman Returns and Batman Forever is they legalized gambling.
Yeah.
And that's why everything got so ridiculous and brightly colored and neon. And they've got that neon in here, but in a nice sort of neo-noir kind of way. This is a gorgeous pilot. If nothing else, it's shot amazingly.
The shot, look, and it's like, it provides what, if you read, we've read the comic books, like, Gotham has to be interpreted that it is a shitty place. Like, it's raining constantly, it's not a nice place to live, and that's something that when I was watching it, I was like, man, that scene is good. Like, that encompasses Gotham, because when I watched Christopher Nolan's movies in his trilogy, I thought it was great, but it seemed very realistic, very New York style, whereas Gotham is based on that, but it has to have its own sort of scene, its own vibe, and I felt as if Gotham itself was actually the main thing that I watched in the show. Like, the scenery, everything was fantastic.
It's almost like Gotham is itself a character.
Exactly. That's
Stop it.
I knew it was coming.
No.
So I liked it. I thought it had a nice line between sort of whatever the comic booky style that they're looking for is, and enough sort of reality where the casual enthusiasts like myself can relate to characters making moderately sane decisions, which is a big problem for me in comics in general. That said, like, you know, you mentioned it, Alonso. This I maybe Bibbs did, but when you know what was he offering his freaking resignation to a 12-year-old? Like, you know, I'm like, what are you doing?
Well,
like,
he let this kid down, and he's basically saying, "Did I destroy your life? And if I did, I couldn't live with that. I'm going to end my career." Or,
but that said, you say to him, "I let you." You know, a grown-up goes to a child and says, I let you down. I'm sorry.
But I'm going to fix it.
I'm going to fix it. I'm going to keep fighting because I made a promise to you. You don't like what? I mean, the kid would be like, can I play with your badge? You know?
Can I play with it? That's what he's
They're
thinking.
desperately trying to find a way to make Bruce Wayne important when he's 12.
Yeah.
You know, like that. And I thought it was an okay fix.
For me, I would be perfectly fine with us never seeing him again. After the killing of his parents, like, because these are the off-screen years, basically. This is, you know, Jesus between like the manger and 20. You know,
I think what they want to get in, who they want to get in, is Alfred. Like that, and
I like this pissy version of
this
Alfred.
is like,
I like
usually
him a lot.
this is a hard man.
Isn't he also Australian? Was he?
No, he's English.
He's
I thought he was Australian
but he
too.
said mate. He said, I think
Mate is English as well.
His accent seemed.
he seemed Aussie.
The thing is that that's great, because you usually have your Alfred where he comes in and go, oh, can I get you a sandwich? He was like, get your ass off that roof. Like, just kind of like straight up, I mean, it's going to be...
Alfred has that background. Alfred was a badass before.
Exactly. That's something I don't think they...
Sean, and he's English.
They kind of failed to portray that, I think, in the movies. He's kind of been, he's always been wise, and like Michael Caine was fantastic as it, like, just encompassed that role, but there was not that badass aspect of it. He like takes no shit.
None of that.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
Exactly. So he has this good idea of doing that. I think it was a smart idea to bring that into it.
It was my favorite moment was Alfred showing up there and like Bruce running. Like, I loved that little moment.
Nice.
And then his instructions, like, because you could tell he just right off one, you know who Alfred is, so you know he's a good man. But then still, he's got to give this 12-year-old advice that no 12-year-old should get, which was, you know, eyes front, don't let them see you cry. Like,
stiff upper lip.
Stiff upper lip, you know, like you got it, and that's, you know, and you want to be, you know, especially whatever as a new parent, you're like, you always want to be like, no, cry, it's okay. Like this is not. We don't want to tell you not to feel things.
But
but he's also, Bruce Wayne is also a celebrity, so it's like, do you want this picture to be, you know, like that's
it's tough. Like, I felt bad for him. Like, he's doing the right. He's giving him the proper.
Wayne industry stock to go down.
No, he's giving him the proper instructions, but you can tell that he doesn't even want to. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to do this to you, boy, but this is what we have.
So now Gotham PD. A lot of these are characters that have popped up in the comics. Harvey Bullock, Renee Montoya,
Christmas Allen, and
now Renee Montoya still a lesbian in this?
Totally a lesbian. I mean, they even sold it like she had a relationship with Jim Gordon's
that was my next question. Like, does he know you like I do?
I thought that was really tacky. Actually, I thought that was a really lame way to handle. She's really one of the more positive portrayals of a homosexual person in comics.
Exactly.
And turning it into a cheap plot reveal, I thought was really offensive.
Give us a flashback.
I mean, give us something. But she's great. I mean, in the comics, she ends up becoming the Question, and that's cool.
And just again from the TV series, Jim Gordon his wife is Barbara, right? Don't they get married?
They do get married, and then later in the comics, that marriage doesn't go well. But yeah,
But that so it's
But it
presumably
produces Barbara Jr.
It
so,
did.
you know.
Yeah.
right. Okay, so that's so yeah, I thought that was I don't know any of these people.
Sure.
And does Harvey Bullock become somebody?
Harvey Bullock is a very important figure in the Gotham PD, largely because he's sort of the face of corruption. But he's also not he's never been a bad person. He's just always been a cog in that corrupt machine.
Well, that's interesting because I'm glad because you're led to believe that he's clearly corrupt.
Yeah.
He's cynical. You know, he didn't want the case because he doesn't want the pain in the ass that comes with the case. So really, up until the point when Jim was going to get killed, if you don't know it, you think, I don't know if he's going to do the right thing here.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
Yeah, and actually, I have been, this is how long I haven't read comics. I remember Harvey Bullock as just being sort of the slovenly old movie obsessed Harvey Bullock. I didn't even know he was corrupt. Is that like a recent iteration
in the last
of him?
20, 25 years
Okay,
or so,
I missed that part.
Well, I think the character played it very well. Donald Logue is a great actor. I
That's
agree.
the reason.
And
That's the reason you knew he couldn't be all bad.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a great,
Right.
and it was I sort of saw that hard, sort of like cynical aspect of it, but then he was sort of softened by Jim Gordon, which was great considering they two had great chemistry. And when he but the idea is that Jim Gordon, as much as you want him to encompass this idea of like sort of Dark Knight figure, that's what I thought is, but he had to compromise in order to get like his message across. Like when he walks the Penguin to the edge, and he pretends to shoot him, like in order to let people think that he's not all soft. I thought that was a great part of it to try and make it seem as if he's not all good. He's this high and mighty, but he will kind of do stuff to try and get his message across.
They did that really well in Frank Miller's Batman Year
Yes,
One.
exactly.
Where, again, he was the stalwart figure against really institutionalized corruption, and he tried to stay as pure as he could, but in the end, he was cheating on his wife. He had to beat the living crap out of other cops.
Yeah.
It was brutal, but he always did it, and then but he was able to pull back.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
was what was
and
noble
within the
about it.
first hour of the show, he's already got blood on his hands because Cobblepot, comes out of the side of the river and stabs a guy for a sandwich.
Already, probably. That's a good ending. You were talking about this beforehand.
Can we touch on his that exact ending? People were kind of wondering, with the Joker having so much views on him in the last movie, fantastic role, Heath Ledger, you're kind of wondering who they're going to focus on a little more. I thought it was very smart to focus on Oswald Cobblepot because we didn't know as much about him in the movies. Well, obviously in the older movies, yes, with Danny
Even in
DeVito.
the comics, we
yeah.
know more about him now than we do in
Exactly,
the
in
past.
the past. So I thought it was very smart to go into that, and I had no idea that was going to happen. He comes out the end of the river, and you're thinking, right, maybe he'll just kind of mug the guy and take his thing. He just slits his throat right there, and then you're thinking that is ferocious, that's vicious, and that's the start of a character that you're going to have to watch out for.
It's not just the start of a character, though. It's also showing that even though Jim did the right thing, it led to the wrong consequence.
Exactly.
Like it actually shows like the moral flexibility of working in Gotham. Like Donald Logue was kind of right.
Yeah.
And also I want to say Robin Lord Taylor, that guy is great.
Yeah,
he's really owning the
played
show
great.
already. He's so good.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of right, but you don't know what that guy's going to do. So I mean, he wasn't
Of course.
right. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying it's
No,
good.
There's no easy answers
Right,
here.
there are no easy
Yeah,
answers.
yeah,
except
it could have been
killing-
very easy.
Except killing, it's not like the fishermen of Gotham would have been safe if you'd killed. That fisherman would have lived another day.
Yeah.
But I mean, right? I mean, we're talking about deals with the devil. Like it wasn't. It's not.
It was a no-win
to me, it
situation.
would be. It's not Jim Gordon's move that caused that. It's we're 127 horrible moves in. That,
Can we talk about Fish Mooney, aka the character they're allowed to kill off eventually? Yeah. because it's Jada Pinkett Smith. She's great. She's really has a lot of personality. Yeah. She feels like she belongs in the universe. It's difficult to introduce a character.
Great.
Oh yeah.
And
you're just watching. It was like, is that gonna be the Joker? Who is that guy? Can we get a close up? She's fantastic. But she's got a ticking clock on her, as far as I'm concerned. And that's the problem with this show is a lot of it's a foregone conclusion.
But we don't. I mean,
that always comes in again with the Muppet Babies thing.
Exactly.
If you're going to go backwards, and things are going to go in a certain way.
They don't have to do anything.
They don't have to, no. But like, if you want to have a world of serious criminal consequence, and a world where practically every character is predicated on we're gonna have them meet Batman eventually somewhere in this universe, the characters who didn't exist before
are expendable.
They're expendable. They're the expendable. You can't kill the Penguin. You can kill.
I got you. Except, I mean, I would.
This isn't Hannibal where they can just like, fuck it, we're going to do what we want now, you know. And
but they can to some extent. I mean, I hope they feel like they can to some extent. And also, if they're going to meet Batman, I mean, theoretically, in this series, we're not going to get that.
True.
Right, but I'm saying, but if they're going to meet him eventually, they can't die. Is what we're saying.
Yeah,
I got you. So, right, there are a few that can't die, but they don't have to kill the ones that do die.
The funny fundamental difference between Gotham and a lot of other reinterpretations of Batman is that in practically every interpretation of Batman, Gotham was a crime-riddled city before Batman got there, and then Batman got there, and then Christopher Nolan put it beautifully, there was an escalation.
Yes.
He invited in the freaks to take over when he took down the organized crime. Here, we're starting to see that earlier, which is kind of interesting, and I'm wondering if that's going to make the whole the idea of Batman seem just reactionary.
Well, I think it's sort of like the notion of, did Smallville change the way we think about Superman? Not really, you know.
But it changed the way Smallville operated, which made it a lesser show.
I suppose, but I'm just saying, I think in the grander scheme of things, this is going to be an interpretation, a version. So
that's beating Batman. You can't screw him up permanently.
Exactly. So I mean, I think ultimately, as long as Batman doesn't actually show up, which is what they're saying how this show is going to be, then it can kind of operate under its own rules and in its own universe to an extent.
Plenty of other storylines to focus on without having to bring Batman in too soon. Like, what I liked about it is, as much as it's Jim Gordon against the corrupt organization and crime in Gotham, it's also like crime against crime, because you see Fish Mooney having something trying to take over, and then you have Carmel Falcone coming in, and just kind of that battle between them two, which I'm intrigued to see.
You know, that's Donald Logue, who, by the way, I said, you know he can't be all bad, but he was all bad in his brief turn in Sons of Anarchy, which was terrific in. And Sons of Anarchy is another, this idea is showing up of, like, the cops let some organized crime exist so that you can keep the frickin' broader piece. You really let those guys run that, they control it.
It's a lost leader.
Right, so that regular citizens are not in danger. And then, as Nolan said, when you break the back of that, all hell breaks loose. That's what happened in Sons of Anarchy.
That's also what happened in the comics a long time ago. Carmine Falcone was the linchpin of Gotham, and then the freaks took him out, and then it was chaos, and a lot of people died.
By the way, we were talking about The Wire earlier, and Sons of Anarchy littered with The Wire, but John Doman, who plays Falcone, is the guy I mentioned in The Wire who was in a throwaway scene in episode season 2. Oh, look, he's gay. There he is at the game. And so I instantly thought, I wonder if Falcone's gay.
He's good casting, though. I like him a lot.
He's great. He's a terrific actor.
This is a well-cast show.
Do we think we're going to get Arkham on this show?
That's what I was thinking.
I feel like they have to get to it eventually.
I don't know. Who is that?
This is Arkham Asylum is where
all
the
freaks
lunatics go.
I feel like it's an institution in Gotham City, so it will be there even if they don't go there for a while. So I think it's only a matter of time.
And it's not like anybody that we know is there yet.
Probably.
What's the Catwoman bad or good? I can't.
She's a street. She's the Artful Dodger right now. Catwoman is never really evil, but she's in it for herself, and she'll commit crimes if it's in her self-interest. But she usually doesn't go out of her way to kill anybody.
But she's also clearly looking out. I mean, that's a TV suggestion if you don't know of someone looking out for Bruce.
Yeah,
sure. Well, they're also tying them in. I actually like the idea that she saw Bruce's parents die, because that ties them in intrinsically.
But she feels some degree to protect him. I mean, that again, I come at it not knowing that it was Catwoman.
She senses a kindred spirit, perhaps.
Something. Well.
Something. This is a new spin on this, but we'll see where they take it. That actress looks more like a living anime character than any human being I have ever seen.
There's a contrast between a living anime and I think a very young Michelle Pfeiffer, like from the original Batman movies. That's what I was thinking. But when you think about it, she's not the best. She's obviously young.
A young anime character and a young Michelle.
Just think about it. Picture it.
They really highlight her eyes in an interesting way.
There's one thing, is that she's not a very good thief to start with, because she steals a carton of milk which only has a quarter bit in it to start with, and she pulls it out. It's a tiny bit of milk. I was like, you could have at least stole a full carton.
Also, cats are lactose intolerant, so that's not going to end well.
Is that right?
It is.
Maybe that was Lactaid.
There you go. There you go. Almond milk.
All right, so we're intrigued, right?
Absolutely.
I like it so far. I'm curious to see where it goes.
It wasn't perfect, but I think that's a good thing. That's what I was saying before, is because you're intrigued to watch it more, to get into that idea.
And I'm always hesitant about pilots that start off too good, because it feels like there's nowhere to go but down. Here, there's something to build on and fix.
Sure. Clearly plenty of places to go. All right, guys, next week. Thank you.